Alright guys, it has been 20 days since I put this Mora out here to rust. Should be something on it by now. Oh yeah, we got some rust. Now after I did that video, if you guys remember, I sprayed the bottom portion here with that solution, but soon found out that it is water soluble. So basically the first time it rained out here, it just washed it off. And I do see a little bit of rust down there as well. So let's take it out. Let's take a better look at it. Yeah, there's plenty of rust on here. I think I'll start doing the testing. First thing I want to do is use that gel to see if it'll take this rust off. Here's the other side. So yeah, 20 days out in the elements. It snowed twice lately, and it rained about 5 or 6 times. So I got plenty wet, plenty exposed. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to go inside and see how that gel works. Alright, so let's take a closer look at our knife now that we're inside. You can see again, plenty of rust, even more so corrosion on that tip where it was inside the wood, because the wood obviously stayed continuously moist even after the air dried. Alright, here's the reverse side. So I got gloves on because of course this is a chemical. So we're trying the gel first. This is just a little sample packet. All right, Metal Rescue Rust Remover Gel. All right, from Workshop Hero. Instructions: remove dirt, grease, or loose rust. Wear gloves. Apply 1/8 layer of gel. Gel must not dry. Cover with plastic wrap. Process time varies. Wipe off completely. Repeat process for heavy rust. Safety: wear gloves. Do not ingest, avoid contact with eyes, and you guys can read the rest there. Alright, so actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab a paper towel so I can just wipe off any of the loose rust first. Alright, so I have a dry paper towel here. And I'm just going to kind of scrub this the best I can. Not getting too close to our edge, of course. See some of that rust coming off. But most of it is pretty much attached to our blade there. Alright, so again, just make sure there's no loose rust. Alright, so that did not do much in the way of how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on our blade. Alright, so I'm squeezing it down, open it up. Actually, you know what, let me flip that over, get the rest out of here before I start spreading around. So there's plenty in here to do a decent sized blade. Just going to completely cover the blade. Pretty simple stuff. Now it says times may vary. There's no specific guideline as to how long this is going to take. So I'll up here carefully. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to set this for, I'm going to set a timer. Let's just say, I don't know, half an hour, just to be safe. I want to say like 10 or 15 minutes, but once I wipe it off, then it's gone. So let's give it a half an hour. After a half an hour, if it's going to do something, it should have already done by then. So I will do just that. I'll be back in 1/2 hour. All right, I'm back. New set of gloves. It's been a half an hour. Timer just went off. Now, just looking at this, I don't really see any. I don't see any of the rust underneath where it is. You can see tiny little bubbles have kind of formed. Let me zoom in. Give you a better shot. So you see a little kind of bubbles underneath. Maybe those are rust spots still. I don't really know. It's kind of hard to tell, but I don't see actual red rust anymore. So let's zoom back out. I'll try to get a lot of it off in globs at first. And you can really kind of wipe it down. Wow. Alright, well, I'm not seeing any rust. Okay, you can see where it's stained. The rust looks gone though, so hang on a second. Make sure you wipe all this stuff off very well. Yeah, you can see where the rust was because the blade is now stained. So I'll be right back. I just want to make sure I get all this chemical off completely so it'll be safe to handle. I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. I just rinsed the knife off with just water and thoroughly dried it. I'll zoom in and take a look at this. So all the actual red rust or surface rust is off. I'm not sure exactly how deep, if that's actually pitted now. It doesn't feel, I mean obviously I'm wearing gloves, but I don't feel a textural difference, so I feel like it's just surface staining. Alright. Again, there's the tip, where it was in the wood, and the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a rag and a little bit of Flitz metal polish and see if I can polish it out. But long story short, the stuff does work. It got rid of the rust. But of course, as you guys know, anyone who's dealt with a rusty knife, it does stain the metal. So this is just a very fine abrasive. Again, basically just seeing if I can kind of polish that out a little bit. Take a little bit of elbow grease and some time. I'm just going to focus on one little area here for now, just so you guys can see it. But we'll see. See all that black coming up? So if I have success in one particular little area, then I know I can go back and do all the fine detail. I may not do it all on camera, but just curious how deep it is, you know? So you can see it's lightening quite a bit compared to the other sections, but still there faintly. So let's try a little bit more. Doesn't take too much. And again, I mean, what I'm doing is basically really finely sanding, so to speak. Now because this has a polished finish already, it's not going to be too noticeable. Of course, if you did this, because I'm polishing the blade essentially, if I did this on a blade that did not have a polished finish, and it was like satin finished or dull, then it would just be extra polished where I'm doing this. So you don't want that. So because this has the polished finish, I might be able to get away with using this. But again, just being repetitive over and over the same spot. Okay, occasionally getting a little new section of rag. So a lot of it's coming out, but it's still there. It did eat away at the metal a little bit. I'll show you that in just a second here. All right, so if I zoom in, I catch the light just right. You can see, I mean, this is like dark gray over here, whereas this, it's not dark gray anymore, but it's literally kind of etched, if you can imagine. It's almost like it's acid etched in from the corrosion. So yeah, I mean, the product works for removing rust, but now it's just a matter of see if I can get this looking new again. But I kind of doubt it. Like I said, polishing up is not going to be enough. You'd have to actually get something that's more abrasive and literally take off just a little bit of steel on the whole surface, you know, and then you can repolish it after that. But I mean, I'll keep working on this and see as good as I can get it. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna do that in the whole blade. But as far as wondering if the product works, it certainly does work, at least the gel. The other product is a concentrate. I might do that on a bigger project in the future, maybe a large fixed blade or something like that, because that is basically that whole little container goes into a gallon of water and it makes a you know, rust remover concentrate. But I didn't want to do all that, get a big old gallon just for this little knife. So perhaps that'll be for a future project if I happen to have something I really need to remove rust on. But the gel seems to work really well. And again, I mean, I left that for about a half an hour. I guess it depends on how bad the rust is, but I don't even think you need a half an hour. I think maybe 10 or 15 minutes would have been fine for this particular issue. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna keep working on this, and when I'm all done, well, that'll be the next clip with the power of editing. I'm just gonna go ahead, put on a movie or something, and just keep working at this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. All right, I'm back for the final time. I was working on this for a while. I used something way more aggressive. If you get the light right, you can see the scratching in there. And then went back to the flits, which the flits was too fine to get the scratches out. I have to go with something kind of in between. And you have to do it in basically like layers or stages. But anyway, long story short, that's not blade staining. That is definitely, you know, in the blade. Like I said, very similar to an etching or something along those lines. But it was actually a little bit dull. If you don't know, when you have a knife that's exposed to rust or exposed to the elements, your edge is the thinnest part of the metal, and that's the very first thing to deteriorate. So if you have a knife that's been outside or, you know, been in a moist area or who knows what, and it starts to get rust, if you have the availability to look through a microscope or a really fine magnifying glass or something like that, you'll see that the edge is actually rounded. All right, but I just touched this up on the strop. Did not take much to sharpen it back up. So, I mean, it's fully functional. Maybe not as pretty as when it was brand new. But, I mean, the mores are awesome. I don't have to tell you guys, you already know the deal. Awesome knife, definitely a user knife. I do like the color combo with that tan. I do like the ergos on this particular one. Very, very cool knife. So that was just a fun little experiment, learned a couple things. First off, the product does work. It did remove the rust. Also, this did not rust as fast as I thought it would, and I think that is very much due to the fact that it has a nice polished finish. If you don't know, when you polish metal, you're making those metal pores very, very small, which makes it harder to rust. So knives with polished blades don't rust as easily as the exact same metals that have either a satin finish, or the worst case scenario would be something like sandblasted. Sandblasting a finish on a knife looks very nice. It's like a nice matte gray color, but you're doing the opposite. Instead of closing in those pores, you're opening them up. Okay, if you look at like a, you know, through a microscope or something like that, you'd be able to see that. So yeah, just take care of your knives. Just pretty interesting. All right, so if you are going to go with something that has carbon steel and you're going to be out in the elements and so forth, you might want to either force a patina. There's plenty of information online about that. And just kind of get over with so you don't have to worry about it corroding. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you had a wonderful day. Although this is a very usable knife and there's nothing wrong with it except for a few cosmetic blemishes, I will probably do a giveaway for this knife in the future. So stay tuned for that across all social media. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Take care.